coherent that we can put onto our society forum. So again, sharing these ideas with other people and asking for responses and reaction to them. What we're going to do now, one of the things that has been central to these conversations all the time that we've been having them for the last 9 months or so, probably a bit longer, has been about sharing stories and how important it is when people actually share their own experiences, because that's something that lends reality and concreteness to a lot of things that can be described in very conceptual and intellectual terms, and that actually, when you're talking about community, if you're talking about making a difference in community, it is about stories of where people live, how they live there, what happens when they live there, what are their hopes, what are the sense of failures and struggles, what are the successes. And we've got a number of people here who one way or another have been involved in telling stories as journalists or media workers and so on, and others who just as in terms of their ordinary lives, feel the usefulness and the need to get the stories across. And what we want to do tonight is just capture a few of the stories that we have here, because actually between us we have a lot of stories about community action and about our own engagement and with the communities where we live or where we work, or that we're close to, whether it's communities geographically or communities of interest. So just before we start that, what I'd like to do is just to start going back to the original idea about community action that we asked you to think about when you were writing out your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Think instead about hopes and struggles and successes. And what I'd like people to do, just in a couple of words, is shout out something that you think symbolises for you hope. Okay? So any ideas about hope?
Young people.
Young people, okay? So, yeah, young people, always a sense of hope. I'm a parent, and I look at my kids and I feel hope. I feel a lot of other things sometimes. So, and anything else that says hope to you?
I'm not sure it necessarily symbolise, but I mean stories. Stories communicate. Stories, stories can communicate and stick in your minds and sustain you.
Hopefully in all communities.
Okay. Anything else that says hope?
This is going to sound silly, but when you see very old people obviously taking a leisurely walk for pleasure where they live.
Yeah, I like that.
I like to see people being affectionate in the street. I know a lot of people go, oh, don't get a room, but I like to see people holding hands. I think it's nice.
Great, yeah, keep them coming.
Those little solid little rubber balls that you had as a kid, when you drop them on the ground, they bounce up higher than what you dropped them from.
Yeah. What were they called? They had a name, didn't they?
Super Balls.
Super Balls. I think if I write Super Balls down,
All the more reason to wear.
I'm not sure about that one.
Massive campaigns against library cards.
Sorry?
Massive campaigns against library.
Yeah, okay.
The Millbank Riot.
Riots full of hope.
Yeah.
Less apathy, which kind of leads to that, I think.
Okay, right, so once we start thinking about hope, it kind of brings out a whole load of ideas and things that we connect to, things that we care about and things that we feel passionate about. Those passions might not be shared by everyone. People, you know, you can see that sometimes they provoke interesting reactions among people, but we all have these hopes, and they come from, one way or another, a desire to make a better place for ourselves and the people around us, a desire to make a better society. And that really is what this is all about, you know, if it's about anything at all. So, thinking about hope, you know, the converse or the flip side of that is struggle. That often we really struggle to make a difference or to achieve things. And again, yeah, any quick phrases, ideas, concepts that say to you struggle. Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks, we've had 5 undercover police officers unmasked from London.
So.
In the last 5 weeks, we've
Yeah.
had 5 undercover police officers unmasked in the
Yeah.
environmental movement.
Yeah. So undercover police is yeah, something that gives a lot of us a lot of concern. Yeah.
Finding voice. I've had an email from a community activist who said that she didn't feel that she had the right to sit around a big table at the parish council.
So feeling excluded. Yeah.
Sack the parish council. I speak as a
Unfortunately, the
parish
parish
council.
council are very paternalistic and decide what happens in the village.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Anything else that says to you struggle? Well,
Well, poverty says that to me.
yes.
I think my parents were brought up in the 30s, you know, and kind of it still hangs over like a fear, and it's real for a lot.
Put inequality next to that.
Yeah.
The bank bailout.
Advertising everywhere. And all the imagination, fixation, I don't know, linked to poverty. Just, yeah.
Rurality.
So?
Rurality.
Morality.
No, rurality.
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 Morality might be appropriate. Okay. So you mean being on the edge?
Yeah. Being on the edge, but also in terms of services and things actually cost more and difficult because of the rural nature and the geographic nature of areas. Like, if you look at Cumbria, you've got a block of mountains, it's like a polo, and there's no easy way around it.
Yeah.
I think just the whole struggle of trying to run a business, trying to make a living, trying to do all those kind of things, actually, and especially in a climate where so many people have such a down on the private sector. Actually, I think we need to celebrate it more.
Making a living, getting by.
I'm not being deliberately perverse, but I find hope a struggle, but that makes hope worthwhile.
Yeah.
Is that the pedantry you're thinking?
No, it's genuine. I think
Yeah.
the stuff I struggle for is the stuff that is some of the best stuff.
I think for me, as a kind of allied point to one that you made, I work for an organisation that's the Audit Commission, which has been comprehensively dissed by government. So it's kind of lack of respect, I think, that you kind of hear from leading national politicians about entities or enterprises or individuals that they don't rate. And that for me kind of is a bit of a struggle after 20 odd years of kind of doing the things that I do to suddenly find actually that we were all a load of rubbish and wasting our time.
Yeah. So being typecast.
Yeah, typecast, yeah, that's good.
You know, kind of crossover one there, but it was just, you know, what convinced an hour, they feel that you have to fight somebody. You know, who's our fight? I don't know who we're supposed to be fighting. You kind of have to think, fighting for something instead of fighting against something.
Could I have another one, please? Objectivity. And that's
Right. Okay, we've run out of room there. So
I've got one. You said something about you don't like advertising and all the stuff that's around, but don't you think if we were advertising something and the community was actually getting the money, the payment for that advert, would be a much better way of doing things, rather than some media company getting the money for advertising to the community? You know, actually have the community get the money. And I struggle with that one so many times because I want to advertise. Right.
Okay, and Paul's got a particular idea around that some of you might be interested in. Okay, so so thinking about hopes and struggles, what might be success? What would feel like success to us? You know, personally, not I mean, try and bring it down from kind of world peace and universal happiness. But you know, what would feel like success in terms of community action to us?
People talking to each other on the street.
Okay. Any other ideas?
This is an example not from me, but from the radio station, South Leeds Community Broadcasting, helping people to turn around their lives. For example, they come in as drug addicts and they go away having gained skills that can get them a job.
Yeah.
Even being a waiter in one of the shops, stores.
Yeah, yeah. People who come in feeling that they're in a hole and they can't do anything about it.
I'd say less reliance on institutions and services.
Yeah, so success is independence, or yeah.
The only problem with the word independence is, to me, like, I don't think that's what necessarily even what you mean, but like something I'm really passionate about is interdependence, and enabling people to, like, along the theme of mutuality.
Yeah.
Whereas independence can speak of a real individualism. Everyone's looking after themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what's wrong.
Nothing wrong with individualism.
Closing the socio-economic gap.
Sorry.
Closing the socio-economic gap.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I would express that as sufficiency, so that people have got enough, and that also means not too much, as well as, you know, not too much.
Something like confidence, about being able to do it yourself and not wait someone to do it for you, and knowing that your bad job is just as good as someone else's good job.
Yeah, so feeling valued, feeling that you're worthwhile.
You haven't seen my wallpapering, have you?
Also being able to ask for help from within the community or support.
Yeah, not being told to go find it for yourself.
Yeah, and not just being so scared that you just sit there and struggle on.
Yeah, feeling that you won't be fobbed off.
Yeah.
A less scary media, a media that reflects people's views instead of a media that has an agenda that it seems to use to try and terrify everybody.
But people-friendly media.
Is that media control?
I think it's more about sections of the media, big sections of the media that seem to be able to put whatever headlines they want on the front page without seemingly, you know, let's look at a fact and the
media that reflects people's lives instead of turning them into kind of commodities.
Better delivery of all sorts from both the community and publications.
Putting a spanner in the works of big business or government interests.
Julian, I'm very struck by what we're getting here is that there is a consensus, there is an agreement about what success looks like, and there's an awful lot of, there's still some divisions, isn't there, in terms of the connection between business and how business works in the community, media, how the media works in the community, the extent to which it reflects us. So we're very much coming from our own, I think probably here, our own professionalism or our own agenda and ideology. And that's probably quite a really big issue for what success means for the big society and our society.
Which is why I said objectivity is a struggle.
And I think the thing about objectivity is obviously you have to have a definition of what objectivity is. I think the reality is that we live in a very, very diverse society, and that's not just diverse in terms of culture and age, but it's diverse in terms of the kind of frameworks and stories that we use to interpret our own lives and the lives of those around us. And you have to start by bringing those together and seeing where there is common ground and where there is room to work together. You're never going to start by getting a consensus and a shared view of life among everyone before you can take action. You have to start by saying where are the areas where we can work together, recognising that we're different, recognising that we all have different viewpoints and different stories, different backstories, and yet there are things that we can do together to make this a better society.
Isn't it worth exploring this differently now? Because we all want our society to be a success. We want there to be stronger communities, but we all think very differently about what that would look like, what it would be. And I think it's probably really important, isn't it, for this network to be explicit and open about that from the start, so that people can. We said from our group that it needs to be inclusive and not exclusive. So actually defining, we shouldn't be defining success, because maybe we need to work that out. That's part of this process.
And I think what we're trying to do here is just capture some of the ideas that we're talking about, some of the feelings that people have about what might be successful, what might be the kind of community and kind of society that they're working towards. And what I'd like us all to do now, using this idea of writing down our own stories, is just to add a little bit of substance to that from our own points of view. So, what to us would be the kind of communities that we want to see? What for us are stories of success or hope or struggle? And so what we're going to do is we're going to do this idea which is called a book in 8 minutes, and we're going to give everyone a bit of paper, or if you've got a bit of paper and a pen, that's great. And we're going to ask everyone just to spend 8 minutes on thinking quietly and writing or drawing a picture, whichever you prefer, that says to you something about success or struggle or hope. And we're going to put all those together just as a way of reflecting the diversity of views and experiences and stories within this room. And using that really as a starting point for that kind of conversation that you're talking about. So where are there areas of common ground? Where are the things that we can share and bring together and find ways of cooperating on? I'd be surprised if there weren't any. But I think it's an iterative process. We're not going to arrive at a shared view in the discussion here tonight. So I think what we need to do is take a number of steps that help us towards that and help us to start thinking about what are we really after from all of this. What are our hopes? What do we want to do? So if we can just start.